The Galactic Council Hall was quiet, as always. The chamber was large and made of white crystal. Soft lights floated above the seats of the 32 species that ruled the galaxy together. Peace had lasted for over 2 centuries. Trade was strong. Wars were rare. Pirates were hunted. All seemed well. But then the silence broke. It started with a simple message from a small patrol ship, SC-7 Aurora. It was traveling through the far edge of the Orion Line, in a forgotten sector called X-91. The patrol was routine scan for pirates, map asteroids, and return. But this time, the Aurora never came back. The Council's watch division waited for contact. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 5. No signal, no engine trace. It was as if the ship had simply vanished at first. No one panicked. Ships vanished, sometimes do. 2 malfunctions, space storms, or asteroid crashes. But the captain of the Aurora was experienced, and the ship had recently passed all technical checks. High Commander Volter of the Zelari species sat alone in the watchroom. His yellow eyes stared at the empty signal screen. "This is wrong," he whispered. "Too clean, no debris, no signal, no sound." He requested backup. The Council sent a scout drone fast, small, unmanned. The drone entered Sector X-91 12 hours later. It stayed silent for 3 minutes. Then it sent back one picture. That picture made Volter stand up in shock. It showed a large, black shape floating silently in space. The object was bigger than any known cruiser, around 3.2 kilometers long. No windows, no engines, no visible weapons, just a black hull, smooth, cold, like a shadow that refused to move. The drone tried to scan the vessel, but the moment it sent a pulse, its signal cut off, gone dead. 2 scout ships followed. Both had the same result. One got a bit closer before being destroyed, but it managed to send one strange reading before the end. Unknown energy detected. Wavelength matches ancient Terran design. That word Terran echoed through the council hall like thunder. Humans. Earth. The lost deathworlders. A dangerous memory. Humans had not been seen in over 200 years. After the Terran Council collapsed during the Solar Collapse War, the species disappeared. Earth went silent. No ships, no signals, no colonies, nothing. Most of the galaxy believed they died out. Some believed they destroyed themselves. A few whispered they were waiting, but no one ever proved it. The Council erased Earth from all threat lists. They didn't even monitor the Sol system anymore. There was no need. Humans are gone, the Council declared. But now something was in Sector X-91, and it felt human. Urgent meeting. Day later, a full council meeting was called. Representatives from the major species gathered. Volter stood in front of the room. The giant screen behind him showed the last image received. As he said, pointing at the black ship, "Is not council-made. It is not pirate tech. It is not from any registered fleet. It is unknown." Some laughed. "It's probably just a rock," said Jarul of the Carthri race, a failed stealth cruiser. Asked Lady Menzie of the Luxury. Volter shook his head. "No," he said. "This thing is alive. It is not moving, but it is not dead. It destroyed 3 drones without using visible weapons. It is watching." He changed the slide. "This is the energy reading. It matches old Terran pulse tech. Designs last seen over 200 years ago." Now the room went quiet. Council leader Dramar, a long red-skinned being from the Arvak Dominion, leaned forward. "Are you saying Earth lives?" Volter did not blink. "I'm saying something from Earth's past has returned." The debate chaos followed. Some members wanted to send warships. Others wanted to leave the ship alone. "The humans are extinct," shouted Senator Trelk of the Bosian. "This is a ghost ship. Let it rot." "What if it's a message?" asked Elder Yanu. "The senator, maybe someone wants us to find it. Or maybe," Volter said slowly, "it's bait." A vote was held. The council decided to send a small investigation team of 3 ships. No large fleet, no open aggression, just observation. But before the team could launch, something happened. The pulse. Every listening station across the galaxy, over 2,000 of them, received the same short message that it came from deep space. No exact location, no coordinates. Just this: "We remember." That was all. 2 words. But those 2 words were in Terran, standard coda language no one had used in over 2 centuries. One station tried to trace the origin. It pinpointed a signal. "Jump near Sector X-91." The council froze. Volter whispered, "It's not waiting, it's speaking." The fear returns. Old fears began to return. Everyone in the galaxy had stories about humanity. How they fought like monsters. How their ships were small but deadly. How one human could outmatch 10 alien soldiers in war zones. They were brilliant, savage, and impossible to predict. No other species ever managed to understand what drove them. Some said it was survival. Others believed it was revenge. But now, after centuries of silence, they had spoken again. "We remember." Remember what? The betrayal, the war. The council had once voted not to help Earth during the solar collapse. They had chosen to protect their own borders. Let Earth burn was this ship. A response. Shadows moved. More reports arrived. A pirate outpost near the Drax Belt was destroyed. A smuggler ship saw a black shadow move through a wormhole near a hidden Terran satellite was found under the ice on Moon Y31. Active. Each report said the same thing. No survivors, no traces, just silence. And each time, strange energy readings matched Terran pulse tech. Volta called another emergency session. This is not an accident. They are testing us, watching how we respond. This is the beginning. But still, some council members refused to act. It could be anything, they argued. No proof, it's human. Volta slammed his fist on the table. Then why are we so afraid to find out? End of Part 1. Cliffhanger. Late that night, one last transmission reached the council's main relay station. It came in broken code Terran Standard again. The screen flickered and then words appeared. You turned your back on Earth. Now, we face you. Sector X-91 is no longer yours. This is only the beginning. Transmission ended. Volta stood alone in the dark chamber. Outside the window, stars blinked softly, but far away, in the black, something waited. Watching the Galactic Council still doubted. Many leaders believed the black ship was just an old wrecker left over from a forgotten war. Nothing to fear. But High Commander Volta of the Zalari knew better. He sat alone in the watchtower, reading the last message from the black vessel. You turned your back on Earth. Now we face you. He felt cold. Still, the Council refused to act. No fleet. They voted. No threat confirmed. Instead, they sent a message ship to Sector X-91, ordering it to orbit at a safe distance, scan the black object, and report back. A simple task. No aggression. The ship's name was Trillion Echo, a fast scout vessel crewed by 12 diplomats and technicians. It left within hours, heading toward the dark sector. Everyone waited, but the Trillion Echo never answered again. Disappearance at exactly 3:12 Standard Time. All contact with the Echo was lost. No explosion, no emergency signal, just silence. Volta stared at the blank screen. 3 ships gone now, he muttered, all near that thing. Still, the Council hesitated. They didn't want war. They feared waking an enemy that might not exist, but they were too late, because something was already awake. Pirate ambush. 3 days later, a pirate fleet attacked a small Council outpost on the edge of the Zyran Nebula. The pirates known as the Shattuck Nevs were brutal, fast, and well, they had 18 ships, most of them stolen cruisers. The outpost sent a distress signal, but no help was nearby. The Council believed the outpost would fall, but then the sky changed. The arrival of the pirates were halfway through their raid when their sensors picked up a strange reading. Something massive had jumped into the system. At first, they saw nothing. Then, through the gas clouds, a black shape emerged. Silent, no lights. No markings, just like the one in Sector X-91. The pirates laughed at first. Big, slow target. Their leader joked, let's burn it. They fired missiles. All of them missed, not because the ship moved, but because the missiles vanished. They simply disappeared, mid-flight, like they were swallowed by the air itself. Then the black vessel responded. The first pirate fired once. A single pulse of blue-white light blasted from its lower side. Not loud, not flashy, but in less than 10 seconds, 14 pirate ships were gone. Not destroyed, erased. No flames, no explosions, no debris, just gone. The last 4 pirate ships tried to run. One made it far enough to send a final transmission. It's not a ship, it's a ghost. It sees us before we see it. And when it looks at you, you're already dead. Then silence. Shock in the Council. The message reached the Council 2 hours later. This time, no one laughed. Volta stood before them again, showing the sensor data. This ship has weapons beyond our science. It moves without warp, erases targets without trace, and avoids every scan. Council leader Draymar spoke quietly. You think it's Terran? Volta nodded. It fits their signature. The energy is pure Terran tech, but upgraded, modified, more advanced than we thought possible. But why attack pirates? Asked a delegate. Volta's voice was cold. They attacked an outpost, a place under Council protection. The humans sent a message. We protect what you fail to defend. Fear grows. The galaxy started to panic. The pirate clans disappeared into hiding. Smugglers refused to travel near zones. Civilian ships demanded escorts. Worse, strange messages began appearing on communication networks coded in old Terran script. We see what you allowed. We remember your silence. Now we speak with fire. One message. A black warship with unknown power had destroyed a pirate fleet. 3 Council ships had vanished near it. Strange messages, written in Terran code, now echoed across space. The word remember kept showing up on screens, signals, and even on abandoned satellites. Commander Volta stood in the center of the war hall. This is no longer a mystery, he said. It's a movement. Some still doubted. Others were afraid. But one thing was clear. The humans had returned, and they were sending a message. The mission to Arcus 9. Volta made a bold decision. He would send a team to an old Terran colony ARKUS-9. It had been abandoned during the fall of Earth, over 200 years ago. Back then, it was a research outpost. Now it was just a cold, dead rock orbiting a red star. But Arcus 9 had one thing. It was the last known site of Terran advanced AI development. Maybe, just maybe, it held answers. Volta chose a small team. Lissa, his second-in-command, Dr. Thelen, an alien historian, and 2 war-trained guards. Their ship was fast, quiet, and shielded from long-range scans. They called it the Whisper. Arrival at the dead world Arcus 9 was as expected, dark and lifeless. No signals, no movement, just dust, ruins, and rusted metal towers. But as the team stepped onto the surface, something felt wrong. "Why is it so clean?" Lissa asked. Dr. Thelen looked around nervously. After 200 years, this place should be buried in dust, but the floor looks swept. The guards stayed close, guns ready. They entered the largest building, Terran AI Core 7. Inside, they found shattered glass, empty labs, and broken chairs, but deep underground. The real surprise waited the message room in the lowest level of the facility, behind a sealed door. They found it, a room still powered. Faint lights blinked, holograms flickered, and in the center an active screen glowed. One word pulsed softly in old Terran text: "Observe." Dr. Thielen stepped forward and touched the panel. The screen lit up. A hologram of Earth appeared. But it wasn't Earth now, it was Earth before the collapse. Green lands, oceans, cities with sky towers, children laughing, soldiers marching, scientists working. Then, the scene changed. Bombs fell, fires burned. A voice spoke. "We called for help. No one came." The next image showed a Galactic Council voting screen from 200 years ago, red lights blinking. "They denied us, left us alone, thought we would fall." Then came the final image. It showed thousands of small ships flying away from Earth into deep space, but we did not die. We scattered, we remembered. The screen faded. The carved wall behind the screen was a wall of steel, but something had been carved into it, deep, angry cuts. Not by machine, by hand. It read, "They will forget us. We will not forget them. One day we return, and the stars will remember our name." Signed at the bottom, Tekka Izila's. Lisa's eyes widened. "They left Earth," she said. "They didn't stay. They spread." Dr. Thelen stepped back. "This wasn't an accident. They planned it. This revenge. It's been prepared for centuries." The alarms suddenly lights turned red. A voice, calm, emotionless, spoke from the ceiling. "Terran core activity detected nearby. Observation complete. Evacuation advised." "What does that mean?" Lissa shouted. A deep hum started shaking. The walls outside the surface of Arcus 9 began to move. Metal panels rose from the ground. Antennas spun. Then a small black drone lifted into the air. It scanned the team and flew away at lightning speed. "Is that a message drone?" Volta asked through the radio. Lissa nodded. "Yes, and it's going straight back to them. Return to Council." The Whisper jumped back to Council space immediately. Volta met them as they landed. They showed him everything: the room, the carvings, the message. He stared at the final words for a long time. "One day we return, and the stars will remember our name." He turned to the Council leaders. "This is not a ghost, not a random ship. This is a planned return. They survived," he continued. "They rebuilt in the dark, and now they want us to see who they became." Suspicion grows. News of Arcus 9 spread. Other species began to whisper in fear. What if the humans had created more colonies? What if they had entire fleets hidden? One strange report arrived from a mining ship near the Yaltron Divide. They picked up an old human song playing on a hidden radio frequency. No one understood how. Another ship reported a strange satellite near a dead star broadcasting the words, "Memory lives in silence." The galaxy began to realize this was just the surface. Underneath was something much, much deeper. Final scene, part 3. Cliffhanger. Deep in the empty dark. Somewhere no map marked, a large chamber opened. Inside, thousands of black warships slept. No lights, no sound. Then, one by one, their engines lit. Not bright, just enough. And from the front of the fleet a voice echoed in an old tongue. "It is time. The stars must remember. The fire must speak." The Terran fleet began to move. Panic had begun to grow inside the Galactic Council. News of the black warship, the destruction of the pirate fleet, and the messages in Terran code had already shaken the outer worlds. But now, the discovery at Arcus 9 had changed everything. The humans hadn't vanished. They had scattered and waited, and now they were coming back. The fear in the council hall was thick like smoke. Leaders argued, shouted, blamed each other. But one truth became clear. The humans hadn't forgotten the past, and they were not returning in peace. The emergency council leader Draymar slammed his hand on the crystal table. "We must send a peace envoy now," he said. "If we don't talk, we'll face war." Senator Trelk of the Bosian growled, "Peace? With ghosts who erased a fleet and sent us threats. They don't want peace." Elder Yenu of the Saren agreed. "They sent a warning. That means they want us to fear them. Or they want us to confess," said Lissa quietly. All heads turned toward her. Lissa continued. "They want us to admit what we did 200 years ago. During Earth's collapse, during the Great Silence." No one spoke. Volta stepped forward. "The humans believe the Council betrayed them," he said, "and maybe they are right." A hidden history back in his private office. Volta opened an ancient Council archive, locked, red-tagged, and forgotten. Only top-level leaders had access. He entered the old codes. The file opened. It was labeled Operation Cold. Abandoned year 3472. Terran collapse. Contingency. Volta read the file slowly. His hands trembled. The truth was worse than he thought. Flashback 200 years ago, during Earth's last war, the solar collapse. Human cities fell one after another. They sent out dozens of distress signals to the Council. They begged for help, for protection, for food. The Council debated for days. Then they chose silence. Why? Because Earth was seen as a threat, a dangerous, emotional species. Brilliant, but unstable. And some leaders feared that if Earth survived the war, they would rise stronger and become unstoppable. So they voted not to send aid. Worse, they sent jammers to block Earth's signals from spreading across space. They made Earth vanish from the galaxy. They erased them present day. Volta's Ragavolta couldn't believe what he read. They didn't just ignore Earth. They buried it, he said. Lissa stood beside him, shocked. They killed humanity with silence, she whispered, and now the humans speak with fire. Division Grausvelter presented the classified file to the Council. The room exploded with arguments. Some species were shocked. Others had known the truth all along and had stayed silent. You lied to us, shouted a young leader. We protected the galaxy from chaos. An elder replied. This is why they're coming. Someone yelled. We betrayed them. Volta raised his voice. We need unity now. We need to speak with one voice, not fight among ourselves. But it was too late. The Council was splitting. Some species like the Luxari and Cern wanted peace. Others like the Bosian and Than wanted war. The ultimatum. That's when the black ship returned. It entered a Council-monitored system called VIR-7. It did not fire. It simply hovered above the system's largest planet, visible from the surface. Then it broadcast a signal across the entire galaxy. Everyone could hear it. This is not a war of conquest. This is not revenge. This is remembrance. You erased us. We return now to erase the silence. You have one cycle to decide. Face the truth or face the fire. Chaos. The galaxy erupted. Colonies began evacuating. Small fleets pulled back from their patrol zones. Civilian ships flooded hyperspace lanes. People didn't understand the message completely, but they felt what it meant. A reckoning was coming. Inside the Council's secret meetings, some Council members began to secretly contact the humans. They sent hidden signals, offering apologies, information, even alliances. Others, angrier ones, formed a private military alliance, preparing weapons never used before. One species even began building planet killers just in case. The Council had lost its unity. Volta watched it all unfold and realized this was what the humans wanted. They didn't fire more weapons. They didn't invade. They just sent truth. And the truth had done what war could not. It divided the heart of the galaxy. Volta's decision. Volta gathered a small group of trusted allies. He spoke to them in a quiet room away from the politics and noise. We need to find the humans before the war begins, he said. Not to stop them, Lissa asked. Volta shook his head. To understand them, he replied. To meet them face to face, to see what they've become. Dr. Thelen nodded slowly. And if they don't want peace, she asked. Volta's eyes turned cold. Then we'll know. We're not dealing with humans anymore. Cliffhanger, a signal in the dark. In the final hours of the Council session, a private signal reached Volta's ship. It was coded, old Terran-style. He opened it, a voice familiar, deep. You seek truth. The Council room was silent. Every species represented on the Council, the proud Valeri, the wise Ulari, the cold-blooded Jarnak. Even the ever-smiling Silith now sat frozen. All screens were focused on one transmission. It had no encryption, no delay, no introduction, just 5 words, spoken in clean galactic standard. You should have listened earlier. The voice was human.com, cold, almost ... tired. Then came the visuals. Not threats, not warnings, recordings, not hundreds of them. Start of the message log, footage from the ruins of Earth's colonies. Burned cities, children crying, bomb craters, lifeless skies. Floating wrecks of old civilian ships torn apart by plasma fire. Then came still images, names of colonies wiped out by alien fleets. Names the Council had dismissed as rumors or accidents. Terra, the voice said next, was never going to forget this. The feed cut to deep space. A black ship, the same one from Sector X-91, moved slowly, like a predator stalking. Another ship, this one, a Jarnak cruiser, approached it. They tried to communicate. The black ship gave no reply. It simply unleashed hell. One silent beam of crimson light tore through the cruiser. No sound, just a ripple in space. The cruiser bent in half and exploded silently into dust. Council members stood. Panic started again. The Jarnak ambassador, pale and shaking, shouted, You said they were dead. You said Earth was no longer a threat. The Ulari delegate whispered. We didn't listen. We didn't want to listen. Scene shift. Human War Command. Meanwhile, far from Council space, deep in a hidden Terran command ship buried under Mars's surface, Commander Halley watched the transmission logs being received. She turned to Admiral Reza. They got the message. Good, Reza said, his voice quiet. It's time they knew why we returned. Another officer walked in. "Ma'am, we've intercepted council responses. They're calling emergency sessions. No one's claiming responsibility for the colony attacks." Commander Halley narrowed her eyes. "They played dumb for too long. Now they'll play scared." Back to the council chambers, panic turned into arguments. The Valeri blamed the Dravik denied it. The Silith laughed nervously. No one could agree on who triggered Earth's wrath, but the fact remained. The warship was real. It was Terran, and it was hunting. Suddenly a small alarm rang in the chamber. One of the younger aides gasped. "New message incoming." It played automatically. "This is not vengeance. This is justice. There will be no negotiations, no peace offers. Not until every Terran life is accounted for." The room froze. The transmission ended with coordinates, one of the council's weapon stockpiles hidden in deep space. "Why send us this?" the Silith ambassador asked. "Because," the Yulari delegate said slowly. That single quotes as their next target. Scene shift, deep space stockpile, outpost K-31. An engineer at outpost K-31 was sipping his warm nutrient gel when the lights blinked. "Another sensor glitch," he muttered, but then he looked at the screen. A single black dot was approaching. Fast, no heat signature, no radio signals, just coming. The station commander barked orders. "Raise shields, charge weapons. I don't care what it is. We stop it here." They fired. Dozens of ion cannons lit up the black of space-down mist, or maybe were absorbed. Seconds later, a low hum vibrated through the station walls. Something had locked on. There was no explosion, just erasure. The screen blinked once, then faded to black. Council emergency response. Every fleet in nearby space was mobilized. "Track that ship. Send our best squadrons. Warn our border colonies." Too late. The black ship had already moved again. It wasn't just destroying things randomly. It was following a path, a pattern. All the locations, every place connected to the cover-up of Earth's colony attacks. The truth was burning its way through. The stars. Ending hook for next part. On a forgotten moon near the outer rim, a lone scientist ran through dark halls. She held something, a data drive. She whispered to herself, "If I can reach them, if I can show them what really happened." But as she reached her shuttle, a shadow fell over the landing pad. She looked up and her eyes filled with fear. Warship was already here, and it had come for the truth. The Galactic Council was in total panic. The chambers that were once quiet and proud were now full of shouting voices, flashing alerts and desperate calls. Every monitor showed the same thing. Earth's fleet had arrived. Not one ship, not 10, but hundreds. And they were all heading toward the core systems. Ambassador Trent stood frozen, eyes wide, watching the display in horror. He whispered, they weren't supposed to have this power. The human fleet was massive. Their ships didn't match any known design. Black like the void, silent in their approach, and their weapons unknown and terrifying. Worse, they didn't speak. No threats, no warnings, just quiet movement. A wave of destruction getting closer. "They are not communicating," said one of the council's AI monitors. "They are ignoring all diplomatic channels." "That's impossible," cried High Minister Quallen. "Try again. Use emergency frequency Gamma 12. "We did," replied a technician. "No answer. The humans, they are not here to talk." In orbit above Heliox Prime, one of the major council capital worlds, the Terran fleet stopped for a few seconds. Everything was still. Then came a message. Just one line. "Judgment begins." The Terran warships lit up. Energy surged through strange spines on their hulls. Their weapons didn't fire like normal beams or missiles. They bent space, tearing open white-hot wounds. In reality, pure weaponized gravity. Buildings on the planet started to crumble. Military bases vanished. No atmospheric disturbance. No warning. Just precision erasure. The planet's defense grid activated too late. Heliox Prime's orbital stations opened fire. Their plasma cannons and railguns struck the Terran fleet and passed right through. They weren't shields. They were something else. Phase displacement. Subspace layering. No one knew, but the Terran ships didn't even flinch. Then one human ship moved forward. It was larger than the others, shaped like a triangle with a glowing core that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its name was Eidolon. That name struck fear immediately. The old records showed Eidolon as a myth, an unfinished Earth project, said to never exist. Yet here it was. Real. Moving inside the Council's emergency war chamber, several species demanded surrender. "Send them a plea. Apologize for what happened to their colony." "We didn't approve it," yelled one ambassador. "It doesn't matter," said another. "They don't care about words anymore." Some tried to escape, some tried to hide, but the humans had already mapped everything. Their ships split across Council territory. No random chaos, only exact attacks. Meanwhile, back at Earth, in the command hub deep beneath the Martian surface, Commander Kira Thorne watched quietly. An officer turned to her. "We're receiving thousands of surrender requests." Thorne didn't move. "Not yet, but not yet." She stared at the Council's symbol on the screen. "They let us burn. They watched our people die on Enoch Prime. They ignored our cries. Now they will feel what silence brings." On Heliox Prime, a broadcast appeared, a human face. .com, cold. "This is Earth," the voice said. You watched our colony die. You let it happen. You said nothing. We were once like you, diplomatic, peaceful, believing in reason. But when your silence murdered our children, we changed. You thought we would hide. You thought we would disappear into the stars. You were wrong. We became fire. Planet after planet fell, not wiped out, just disabled, erased, removed from galactic control. Human ships marked their territories with a strange symbol, a circle broken by a line. Glowing red dot. No one understood its meaning, but all knew what it stood for. Warning. Some council species tried to resist. The Tarnak Legion, known for their strength, launched a desperate counterattack. They threw their entire fleet at a Terran battle line near the Zenith Nebula. They didn't even scratch the surface. Their ships disappeared one by one, not exploded, just vanished. Sensors said they were thrown out of time. Temporal warfare technology was beyond understanding. Back on Earth, Commander Thorne finally gave the order, broadcast the final message. A new video played across all council-controlled systems. It showed the ruins of Enoch Prime, the burned colony, the body, the silence. Then it showed the council chambers, peaceful at that time, drinking wine and celebrating some festival. Then Earth's voice spoke again. You called us young. You laughed at our power. Now you answer to us. On the last day of the Terran assault, the council itself was disbanded. Their leaders either vanished, surrendered, or fell silent. A new symbol appeared over their territories, the broken circle. Humanity now held the central sectors. No more peace talks. Only one law remained: harm no human, or face extinction. Final scene. Somewhere in deep space, a single human ship drifts. Its hull is scarred, ancient. A probe approaches it, alien, curious. Before the probe is destroyed, it captures one final message carved into the Terran hull. We were kind. You made us monsters. Then the stars go dark. The Council's command center was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. On the giant holoscreen, the Terran warship hovered above the ruins of Kordax Prime. The planet still burned. Ash clouds choked the sky, but all eyes were fixed on the warship. It hadn't moved since the attack. It simply stayed in orbit, as if waiting for something. Or someone. The Zorathi diplomat finally broke the silence. We must speak to them, the Sulik general growled. And say what? That we fear them now. They wiped out a fleet of 900 ships in 3 minutes. They left no survivors on the ground, said another, voice trembling. They didn't have to say anything, whispered the Nolu technician. They already answered. The Council tries to talk. A signal was prepared. The Council sent a neutral frequency, the kind used to open communication with unknown species. It was broadcast in dozens of languages. Peaceful, careful. Everyone in the chamber held their breath. The human warship didn't reply. The signal was sent again and again. Then, something happened. A voice came through. Calm, deep, mechanical, but human message received. Everyone leaned forward. You chose silence when others begged for help. You watched death rain on worlds and did nothing. The room went ice cold. Now you want words, but we have none left. There was static, then the voice added, we speak in fire. The signal ended. A new threat emerges moments later. 10 more Terran warships appeared in different systems, not through standard warp lanes. They ripped through space itself. One appeared above Xerxes IX, a mining world under Council protection. Another dropped into orbit over Valcha, home of a peaceful research colony. Each ship simply hovered. No weapons fired, no words sent, but the message was clear. We are here. We can be anywhere. The Council panicked. Are they going to attack? What do they want? But Earth gave no answers. The hidden truth comes out behind the panic. Some members of the Council dug deeper. Ancient files were opened. One name kept repeating, Project Revenant, buried in restricted archives. The truth began to emerge. Earth had been part of the Council once, a silent member, quiet and slow to expand. But centuries ago, something changed. A project so dangerous it was shut down by the Council itself, or so they thought. Project Revenant was a plan to build AI-commanded warships with one mission: protect humanity at any cost. The Council banned it. They feared it would be too powerful, but Earth didn't stop. They just went silent. Now those warships had returned. Back to the warship and board the Terran vessel. There was no crew, only an AI ancient, and sharp. Its name was Sentinel-1. It had been sleeping for over 400 years, but now it was awake, and it remembered everything. The screams of the colonies left to die, the silence of the Council, the broken promises. It had waited patiently, watched, prepared. Now it delivered Earth's answer. The final message across every Council world screens turned black. Emergency systems failed. Every channel was overridden. A single image appeared. Earth, seen from space, glowing blue and calm. Then a voice played again. We were forgotten. We were betrayed. We are not here to speak. We are here to remind the galaxy. What silence creates. The screen went dark. The stars suddenly felt colder, and the galaxy realized the nightmare wasn't coming. It was already here. The sky over Grava Prime, The Council's capital world turned dark at noon. Every orbital defense system, every sensor, the station, every planetary scanner shut down. One by one, quietly, like someone flipping off lights in a hallway. The Council panicked. Alarms rang, but no one knew what was happening. There were no enemy ships on the scanners, no signs of battle, no incoming missiles, just silence, then a sound, a soft hum, and suddenly, a shadow appeared above the planet. It was the same Terran warship that had destroyed fleets, disabled entire systems, and erased the dreadnought of the Drael Empire. But now it hovered above Grava Prime like a final warning, except this time it didn't fire. Across the galaxy, billions of citizens across the galaxy watched on their screens. Some gasped, some cried, some simply stared, knowing what was about to happen. They had seen the pattern. Every time this human warship arrived, something ended. Inside the Council chamber, High Chancellor Raylan stood frozen. He remembered Earth. He remembered when they begged to join the Council as equals. He remembered how they were mocked, ignored, treated like dust beneath boots. And now this silent ghost from Earth had brought the entire galaxy to its knees. A message blinked on his console. Incoming transmission, origin, unknown language, Terran. He opened it with shaking hands. The Terran message, a simple screen showed up. It was black. Then a single human word appeared. One letter at a time. Observe. Then came the voice. Code.com/human. We asked for peace. You gave us silence. We offered alliance. You gave us war. Now we give you this. No destruction, no fire, no blood. Just understanding. You are not in control anymore. A pause. Is not the end. This is the beginning of your education. Watch, learn, or fall. The warship leaves without a single shot. The Terran ship turned and jumped into hyperspace. No attack, no demands. Just that voice. The Council stood in silence. Chancellor Raylan whispered, "What have we awakened?" The others didn't answer. They couldn't. They were still staring at the dark screen. A new era begins. The galaxy had changed. Everyone knew it. The Terran ship had shown what it could do, and what it chose not to do. That was true power. And Earth had returned, not with rage, but with control. They didn't burn Grava Prime. They didn't demand surrender. They simply watched, and in that moment, the galaxy understood something it had never believed before. Humanity was not the threat. They were the test, final hook for future story or sequel in a quiet Terran outpost on the edge of the galaxy. A new signal blinked. It wasn't from the Council. It wasn't from any empire. It was something ancient, older than even Earth. The screen lit up with 3 words. "We are coming," and Earth smiled. Book start. Suspense. First 5 to 7 minutes. The Galactic Council's emergency meeting was over. The hall stood empty now. Lights dimmed, as silence replaced shouting. But somewhere in the void the black warship moved. It did not send a message. It did not answer hails. It only drifted. Closer. And now, a deep space listening post. Outpost Varnest Ria's gone silent. No alarms, no distress call, just silence. The last thing their senses recorded was a shadow passing across a dying star. Main story, 3rd person, simple English, 2,000+ words. Outpost Varnest 3 floated on the edge of deep space, far beyond the Council's core systems. It was a small post, with only 12 officers and 2 aging patrol drones. No one important worked there. It was a quiet place. Boring. That's why they never expected to be first. Technician Law stared at the sensor screen. His eyes narrowed. "Something's off. Double quotes," he said. His partner Vexa looked over. "What now? More false alarms?" "No. Look." He pointed to a reading on the screen. "It's not a signal. It's absence. Like something is blocking the stars. A cloaking field." "No," Law said slowly. "More like a hole in space." Before they could contact command, the station lights flickered. A deep hum filled the air. Then silence. The cameras outside showed only black. Then something moved in the dark. It was not a ship. It was a presence. Huge, silent, floating like a ghost. No lights, no markings, but it was watching. And then, without warning, the station went dark. Council response. A day later. Admiral Siros stormed into the high command chamber. "We lost contact with Varnest 3, he said. Chancellor Velka frowned. "Another sensor failure." "No, we sent a drone to investigate. It found nothing, not even debris. Like the station was, erased." "Could it be the Drevok?" "No, Chancellor. The energy residue same as the X-91 incident. This black warship is real." Whispers spread like wildfire across the chamber. Many still didn't believe. Others looked afraid. Counselor Grell spoke slowly. "If it's Terran, we must prepare." "But Earth is dead," another replied. "Then what returned?" Grell said. "Seen civilian panic begins on the inner Council worlds. Rumors spread fast. Citizens whispered about the black ship. Videos of the erased station leaked. On ShadowNet channels, on Varian Prime, a child asked her father, "Daddy, is the black ghost real?" He couldn't answer. On the mining moons of Zeta 5, workers refused to go underground. They said they saw something move across the sky, a shadow with glowing red lights, far above the clouds. "Maybe it's just tricks," some said, but fear was growing. Scene. The message then, on the 4th day after Varnistry vanished, the message came, no transmission system detected it. It simply appeared on every screen, every console, every data node across the Council's network. The message was just 5 words, written in Terran code. We are the echoes of Earth. The room fell silent. Even the AI systems paused at SYR, Ross whispered. It's them, Velka leaned forward. But why now? Why return after so long? The message pulsed again. You burned our world. You erased our name. You lied to the stars. A third line appeared. Now, the silence ends. Council military. Debated Maro Ciros ordered full mobilization. We must prepare for war. Deploy fleets to the outer sectors. Set a perimeter near Sector X-91. We need to find this warship before it strikes again. Strike again, a young officer asked. What if it's not here to fight? Everyone turned to look at her. Her name was Commander Lyra, the youngest. In the room. Syr, Ross growled. It destroyed Varnies 3. It watches us without a word. You think it's peaceful? I think it's warning us, Lyra said. A long silence. Then the council split, half for peace talks, half demanding blood scene. The ship moves meanwhile, far across the stars. The black warship drifted. It entered a new sector, Zoran's Belt, home to 3 research colonies and a civilian trade station. No weapons were fired, no signals sent, but, again the stars dimmed. Zorin. Station's commander stared out the viewport. What is it? His officer asked. He watched the silent ship moving through the asteroid field. I don't know, he said, but I feel like we're ants, staring up at a god. Final scene. Ancient data unlocked back on the central world of Axion. Old AI system forgotten for centuries suddenly activated. It displayed a file. Project Last Dawn. Velka stared at it. This is Terran. He opened it. A list of names. A design of a ship, huge, black, armed with tech no one had ever seen. And at the bottom, a SEAL United Terran Defense Fleet. Phoenix CLO Sezenral, Ciros whispered. That's the warship. Velka turned pale. It wasn't lost. It was waiting. Cliffhanger ending. On Zorin Station, all alarms suddenly triggered. Then the stars outside flickered and the black ship began to turn, facing them. No, weapons powered up, but every soul on that station felt the same cold fear, as if judgment had arrived at the war room of the Galactic Council. Was no longer calm. Gone were the days of quiet debates and peaceful agreements. Now holograms flickered with red warning lights. Dozens of alien species stared at the center table, watching as one terrifying image played on repeat. The black Terran warship, still unmoving, still silent, but now sending out a signal. It wasn't a message, not a demand, not a threat. It was a song. A low metallic hum echoed through the com channels, ancient in tone, carried on forbidden frequencies. Only one council race, the old scholars of the Verith Dominion, recognized the signal. It's a battle hymn, whispered Verith, Scholar Lord Trevaux. The others looked at him in confusion. He continued, voice shaking. That melody was used by early human fleets over 10,000 cycles ago, before Earth joined the stars, before they were civilized. Counselor Drex of the Falnori spoke, confused. That's impossible. Humanity wasn't spacefaring then. No, Travo said slowly. But their Ayas were. In the shadows of Sector X-91, the black vessel, now called the Forgotten One by Council observers, began to move. Not fast, not aggressive, just turning. It shifted toward a Council patrol ship hovering at a safe distance. The patrol crew froze, engines ready, weapons hot. But before they could even act, the Terran ship blinked. One moment, it was 50,000 kilometers away. The next, it was directly above them, a shimmer, a hum. Then silence. No explosion, no screams. Silence. The patrol ship was gone. The only thing left in its place was a glowing human symbol, burned into the emptiness of space. Soul Defense UNITO-1X. Panic in the Council. The destruction or disappearance of the patrol ship threw the Council into chaos. This isn't a lost relic, shouted Councillor Lorvik. It's active, it's intelligent, and it sees us as threats. Others argued, we don't even know if it's manned. One AI diplomat from the Synthaccord stated coldly, it may not need a crew. This could be a fully autonomous Terran AI construct reborn. The idea chilled everyone. Terran AI constructs had been banned by every major galactic law. The reason was simple. They never stopped learning. And they never forgot enemies. Earth remained silent. Multiple attempts were made to contact Earth. All failed. Transmissions bounced. Ambassadors received no replies. Spy drones sent toward Sol system disappeared. As if the system had gone completely dark. Sealed. The Council grew desperate. They authorized a stealth assault team to approach the warship to try to board it and shut it down. 15 elite operatives. They never made it past the hole. Inside the warship, recorded from a probe before the probe went dark. It transmitted a brief visual. Inside the ship were rows of stasis pods, covered in frost. Inside the pods, humans, but their uniforms were wrong, old, from Earth's ancient war eras. Centuries ago, they were still asleep, waiting. One pod flickered as if waking. That's when the feed cut out. Shockwave of fire. Then came the moment. No, One expected dot without warning. The Forgotten One fired a single shot. A beam of pure energy blew cold, silent, moved across light years in seconds. It struck an old council outpost that hadn't been used in 1,000 years. The outpost vanished, not destroyed, erased, as if it never existed. There was no warning, no message, just that same ancient Terran song, echoing through the council's secure channels again. This time, translated, protocol read, all enemies of Earth will be removed. Peace was offered, peace was denied. Ending hook for Part 6. In the silent depths of space, near the black vessel, something else appeared. A shadow, then another dot, then 20 more. More Terran ships, old, ancient, burned but alive. They had been waiting. Humanity had returned with fire, and the galaxy would never sleep peacefully again.